I am the truth, the way and life. And no one comes to the Father except through me. On behalf of Deacon Carlucci, the priests who helped us on the weekend, Father Gannon and Father Minetti, on behalf of the community of St. Rita, especially on behalf of the priests who are gathering here tonight, ex-provincial of the society, Father Robert, who was also stationed here and stationed at St. Francis, Father Ola, Father Cardinelli, Monsignor Klein, Father Gannon, Monsignor Hodge, and Monsignor Thompson. And all of us who are here tonight would like to extend our deep sympathy, first of all, to the family of Patricia, and that is Sean and Penny, and his sisters Andrea, Stella, Anna Bernadette, and her cousins, Anthony and Laura, and her nephew Peter. And to all the congregation of the Daughters of Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, first of all to the local convent, where Sister was many years stationed, and also to all the members of the society, especially to Reverend Mother Vianney, the provincial who is with us tonight. And especially my heart go out to her novitiate class, who are Sister Regina and Sister Rita. As you know, there was another sister with them, Sister Philomena, who was killed about 10 years ago in Ireland. She was murdered. As you know, Sister Patricia was born in County Down in Ireland, and for over 55 years of her time, she ministered here at the United States. She taught at St. Francis School. She was principal there too. She was also a teacher at one of our high school, the Diocese and the Catholic, biographer, and also maths, and also she taught at Georgetown University in Lakeville in New Jersey. Sister Patricia held many positions of leadership in her community as a regional and also local superior. She was also a vocation director, and she was instrumental in developing the Society of the Associate of the Daughters of Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, a group of women who work closely with the sisters in promoting the devotion of the Sacred Heart. This is really important because that is part of the charisma of this congregation. Sister Patricia loved the congregation, especially the charisma, and she spent her devotion, her life spreading devotion to Sacred Heart. She was very loving, kind, and generous, very grateful. She was always preoccupied with work, and I will talk about that too. Sister Patricia was a good talker and can sell her ideas and can convince you very well. She was always saying that she has so many things to do and she will take care of everything. She loved very much the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Blessed Virgin Mary. When we come together to celebrate the life of one of us who, because of the journey that we start from the fountain of baptism, we come together to really ask God to give the promise that He gave our sister on the day of her baptism about 78 years ago. And when she became aware of her calling to a religious life, that she dedicate herself with one hope of holiness and with one hope that she will continue to do what her founder had really intended for them to do. And that's why when we come together, we feel sad. Sad because somebody that we share love with and we love very much is gone. And because of that, we feel that we are empty. And although we come together around the altar to remember in those mysteries of the altar our sister, that God will give her the promise of eternal life through His Son, that by His very sacrifice of His life has really purchased for us the reward of eternal life. And we are here very good. St. Paul, Sunday, that's what he said. If we have died with Him, we also also had the promise of the resurrection. We have a partnership, and we are heirs to the kingdom, because he himself has called us to himself to be brothers and sisters with him, and with him we can call God our Father. And although we are sad, we know that sister now is at peace. But although we know she is at peace, we are really emotionally and also broken. And that's why the church reach out for consolation, to console each one of us. And from the very book that she herself has really gave the code and made them together as the 72 books of scriptures, because it is the 400th century when the church did that. And we know that from those words of scripture, she finds words of inspiration to lift us up. And today, we read from the book of wisdom. It was about 100 years before Christ, when the chosen people of God, who now arrived from Egypt and now they settled in the promised land, they found themselves so alone. And they began to say to themselves, is God for us or he abandoned us? When all the natives and all the people around them, they were so angry at them and they want to finish them. And they turned to God and questioned him, although not in words, but even they searched. And they found among their books the remains of teaching of King Solomon. And tonight we read part of that reading. The souls of the just are in the hands of God, and no torment shall touch them. They seem in front of the foolish, they are dead. But for us who believe, we who have to undergo the trials of life, is like that piece of gold. Before it becomes so precious, it has to go through the mines, and from the mines to the furnace. And then when everything is taken away from it, wood, stone, and dust, they take those little pieces and put them away to be used for precious things. This is the life of each one of us, dear. We are created by God like that piece of metal. Each day He chisels us to become that perfect person. Some we become perfect very young. Some, unfortunately, we become perfect very old, because we still rebel against the will of God, and we want to do it our way. And that's why that reading said at the end, but those who remain faithful to the end, God will give them the throne, give them life eternal, because they will be called the elect. They will be called the one who really have fought the good fight, and now they are with God, to be with Him forever. That's what St. Paul said in the second reading today. He reminds us of that mystery, how we ourselves become more aware that Christ Himself, that become part of our nature, and He clothed Himself with this flesh, that was a flesh that, like us, He suffered, like us He was rejected, like us He was everything but sin. And that's why He can sympathize with us. But then when this body of ours is gone, when this cloth about is gone, we are going to be caught with Him, because He Himself have won the victory over the cross. He destroyed the power of death. He gave us victory. The victory is His, not ours. And that's why through Him, who become our victorious, also we like Him, because we have endured with Him the cross of life, we share with Him eternal happiness. I love that gospel that we just read today. I want you to go back to the Last Supper. Jesus had been telling the disciples for over 2 years, we are going to Jerusalem, and there they are I am going to be given in the hands of sinners. They are going to make fun of me. They are going to make sports of me. They are going to kill me. They are going to bury me, but I will rise. Well, the first part they understand, because they know the conflict that there is between Him and the leaders of the Jews. How many times He got in a debate with them. But the rising from the dead for them was something far-fetched. And so, Jesus now come to the Last Supper. And while He was eating with them, He said, one of you is going to be the vehicle by which I will be betrayed. One of you is going to betray me. And everyone was looking at each other like, who is the one? I thought that we are all of the same mind and we love you very much. And Jesus said, to you that I put this piece of bread in my dish and give it to you. You are the one. Go now, Judas. Go do what you have designed by my Father to do. And he left the synagogue. And he looks and he saw those 11 faces with long faces on them, and he felt for them. Imagine he's about to die in a few hours and his heart went out to them. That is the love of Jesus, the love of the Sacred Heart, the love that he himself has. And he said, do not be afraid. Have faith in God. Have faith in me, because I come from the Father. And I tell you the truth, I am going to the Father to prepare a place for you. And then when you accomplish the work I gave you to do, because you are my hands, you are my feet, you are my voice, I will come back myself to take you to myself. So where I am, you also may be. If those words are not words of consolation, I don't know what kind of words we need to hear. And this is not my words, it's the words of him, who is the divine word of God, who is the very heart of God, who the Father said, this is my beloved Son, on whom my favor rests. Listen to him. And so the word of Jesus is the word that he himself told the apostle that you are going to teach. And now you don't understand that. That's why I go to the Father and I send the Holy Spirit from the Father, so he will strengthen and remind you of my words. Of course, Thomas, like you and I, did not understand what Jesus was saying, and he said, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? And Jesus said the sublime teaching about himself. I am the truth, the way and life. I am the truth because the Father so loved the world that he gave to his only Son, that whoever believes in him, who come in the flesh, and that's very important for John, because there was already a heresy that they begin to rise up that Jesus was not fully human, or Jesus was not fully divine. It took 300 years, in 325, in the Council of the Church defined that there is one divine person with two natures in Jesus. Eternal as God, in time he became flesh. And so, God so loved the world that he gave you his only Son, and whoever believes in him will be saved. That is the first truth. But that truth resides on another truth. I am the way. If I loved you with that great much, you love one another as I have loved you. In fact, the world comes to know that you are my disciples from the love you have for each other. And that is something that we Christians, we need to have in mind. It's not going to Mass and then you do all kinds of things behind people's back and talk about people and do all kinds of things like, you know, the Mass is finished by the doors. In fact, the Mass begins there. Somebody sent me an email and said, do you know, when you know that you are a true Christian, the way you treat your men and women after Mass? And it's true. And that's why Jesus said, the way I treat you, when I reach out to you and wash your feet, you who call me Master, when I reach out to people who are hungry and I fed them, ill and I cured them, somebody going with the only son to the burial and I stopped the litter and I touched and gave the boy back to the mother, to the lepers, and I don't even have, you know, the nerve to go next to them and touch them, but I did that to show you that I come not to be served, but to serve. And if this is my call, this is the call of you. The call of the church is a call of service. If you think that you are in the church to do what you want, you are very wrong. You are here to serve, beginning from the top to the very one, to the very least. And that's why today, when we meditate on those two important titles that we give to Jesus, he is the truth, he is the way, he is also life. And you are going to be scandalized what I am going to say now. Life begins in this life. I believe that hell begins now and heaven begins now. The way you live is the way you die. Don't think God is going to make any miracles to suit you. You believe in Him. He loves you very much. He is asking you to do the same. What's good for you is good for others, the golden rule. And that's all we need to do. Our love is very simple. St. Augustine said, love and do whatever you want. Because where there is love, there is no division. Where there is love, there is no jealousy. Where there is love, there is no me. Where there is love, is always given. Now we turn to our Sister Patricia. And what we have spoken, she has touched many of those points. She was a very shrewd woman, very intelligent woman. I don't know how many of you have spoken to her, but she in her talks, because she bubbles a lot, when you talk to her. If you are talking to her for an hour, she will keep going. And by the way, one more thing, Father. Oh, by the way, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, she will say, oh yes. And then all of a sudden she is in the pew and she said, I have to go, I have too many things to do. And then you give her an statement and you have to be after her 5 weeks before she gives you something. And she asked Sister Mary or the deacon to do it for her. She was a woman, very, very intelligent woman. She has some insights in things. But at the core of her life there was love. She loves very much, and that is the virtue and is really given as a testimony of the family she comes from. I always believe the apple does not fall away from the tree. I don't believe that we change, from where we come. I give you what I receive. I cannot give you what I don't have. And that was Sister Patricia. Sister Patricia was a woman who believed strongly, and because she believed, she embraced the Society of Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. Many of you say, where did the title come from? Well, according to the charisma of the order, this order was formed purposely to spread the devotion of the Sacred Heart. And you know that if we know that Jesus is God and man, in order to become man, God selected a woman. And this woman received him in her heart before she conceived him in her womb. And she was there for him, to prepare him to be the high priest and the victim on the hill of Calvary. And there, from his heart, Jesus gave birth to his church. But prior to that, he said to his women to take charge. Woman, behold your son. And that's Mary become Mother Ecclesia. She became the mother of the church. And from those few drops of blood and water, the church was born through baptism and the Eucharist. These are words of the fathers of the church. The Sister Patricia loved to hear. In fact, she used to question me after the sermon. Oh, Father, that was so good, because I make meditation on it. Now, I don't know if she's buttering me for something else. But the only thing is that's what she used to say. And we know that Mary is the one that really can lead us to her Son. And that's why they select this beautiful title, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. Because Mary gave us the true heart, and that was her Son through her blood and through her flesh. And that's why Jesus always had a heart in his head. And that heart gave it to us when he said, there is no greater love than this, than one lay down his life for the one he loved. That's true love. Love is not the love that I write on cards, which I never write. Love, Carmel. I never write that. If you want to love somebody, be there for them when they need you. That's love. In English, people say, a friend in need is a friend in need. And that's what Patricia did. The order recognized that beauty in her, and they really promote her, and they make her, first of all, principal of a school that was just born here in Barrington. And then she was also superior of the locality, which makes sense. The superior will be the principal, so that everything will work fine together. Then also she became regional superior. In other words, there were more than one houses. You don't remember there was one in Collingswood. I don't know, they had Brigantine. I don't know, they have something in Philadelphia. They closed now, they all together. And she was the regional, in other words, to report to the provincial about what's going on. She was also the promoter of vocations. And here it is. If you love somebody, you promote him. It's like priests, we are priests. If I don't promote our young people to the priesthood, what kind of a priest I am? I always tell them, within 5 years I will be in the hole. Who is going to take my place? As I speak to young families who have children with them tonight, you are the, as we call it, the church in your home. As the council put it somewhere around. Domestic church. And you are the one who, by your prayers, by your vocation, by your integrity of love that you have, and by your environment that you create in their home, you put that seed of vocation in the hearts of your people. A priest, a nun, is a seed of love that he received from those who love him first. Or love her first. And that's what she did. She really tried her best to bring young girls to the order. After she finished her grammar school and taught even in Camping Catholic, she also found herself attractive to university. And she went and taught for over 24 years. It was not easy for her, the traveling and everything. They told me that Sister Dennis, that's what's her name, and she entered the order by the name. She was very skinny, very skinny woman. But being in the congregation of this order, you become very, eating here and eating there, you become a little bit. But that was one of her problems. She really suffered so much about it. And but she never gave up. She never gave up. Oh my God, no way she will give up. You will see her coming at 8 o'clock there. She will have to stop 5 times at the door, the other door, at the first pew, and then move to other pews, and then she moves to pews, and then she sits. And then lately she was sitting where this sister here in the blue, she used to sit there where she sits. And they said, "Are you sleeping during Mass?" Because she would be like this. She said, and she would not sleep because she will tell you exactly what you just said. And they used to see the deacon. I said, we have 2 ends. You sleep on one side and you sleep on the other side. Sister Patricia really served the church very well. And she herself gave so much of herself. She always found time to listen and to talk, as I told you. She always tried her best. That from her talent, because she was a very talented woman, she gave her talent and she gave her ideas. And she always wants to make you understand about how much it is that she cared for that devotion of the Sacred Heart. It is not by accident that this month is the month of the Sacred Heart. You're looking at her. But also, when I was with her these last few weeks, whether I anoint her, whether I talk to her, whether I put my lips next to her ears so that she can hear me. As soon as I say, listen carefully, Oh, Sacred Heart of Jesus. Before I say the end, she will say Petra. And that was till Wednesday morning, because she died early Thursday morning. I went in the room early Thursday. I have a funeral. I said I better go to see her because I say she make a little, she's not doing good. So I went to see her before the funeral. And as soon as she saw me, to open up one eye, because one eye was a little problem for her. Hey, Father, she said, how you doing? Great. You know her? Great. She always hides. She never tells you the pain. She was in pain, let me tell you. Thank God for medicine, because she will not reveal the pain. But the only thing is this, that God was good to her. She had the news of the cancer about 7 weeks. It was about Easter, Good Friday. And she came home because they said, we're not going to operate. I thought they were going to operate that Friday, Good Friday week. They're supposed to operate. That's why she went on Tuesday. And they sent her home. I was very beside myself because I thought she was going to be this. But unfortunately, as you know, Sister Patricia, she cared too much about you. But she did not care too much about herself. You know that. The eating habit that she has when she was in university was not good eating habit, but beside the point. But the only thing is this, that she come home and the people begin to flock to the convent. In fact, the nun said, if you're tired, tell the people that you cannot see. And she said, open that door and anyone who wants to come, let them come. You know her, that was part of her charisma. To talk and to listen and this and that, and to know what's going on. That's what's part of her. And I think that kept her going from thinking, you know, sometimes when you are sick, you think about your misery. But when you talk, you alienate yourself. So even at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, sometimes I go to see her at that time. And there is still people going there. Although they will leave the room when I go in, but they still go with me. That show you what Sister was for many people. And whenever I ask her, how are you? I am at peace. I am at peace, Father, I am at peace. I have so much joy in my heart. I am going to see Jesus. That's what she told me Wednesday. I am going to see Jesus. Time has come. So, normally I take this Thursday off. And I left and I received some emails from the rectory that Sister is not doing good. So I called Sister Evelyn. I said, how is she doing? She said, well, she has a little tough afternoon, but she's all right. I told her, is she talking? She said, no, she's a semicose. It's a semicose for this morning? I said, yes. So I said to myself, we need to let go home. So I came around 4:10. I went to the convent and she talked. But when I say to her ears, Sacred Heart of Jesus, this was her ear. In other words, she was listening. She was so aware. She was with it to the end, as we say. And then, you know, I said I am going home. It was midnight. They came, and around 3:30, I woke up and they say, shall I call the convent? They say no, because some of them will be sleeping. All of a sudden, Sister Evelyn was on the line. She said, she made a turn. So I said, they will be there. So I went, and we started the rosary. After I anointed her, started the rosary, I absolved her, gave her plenty of indulgence. I said in the rosary, I said, Sister, my feet is killing me because I have problem with my feet. So I went to sit in the sitting room there, and then we go after a few minutes to say the second decade of light. And then we begin the third. I said to Jackie Shanley, it's time. I went to her and I said, Sister Patricia, remember it was the third decade. What is the third decade of light? Anyone can tell me? Proclamation of the good news. That's what Sister was. The proclamation of the good news. That's what she wants to do. And even in this parish, she was the coordinator of the adult education. That's what when we began starting the parish. You meet with the people every other Wednesday and the deacon together. I said, it's time. Then I lent my ear to her and said, Sister, you fought the good fight. You can go home now. and she did this. That's it. That was the end. I know that she's going to be embarrassed, but I have to say it. The sisters would like to say a big thank you to you, Jenny. Jenny Charlet was a nurse, a registered nurse, just retired, and she spent many, many days. And the nuns would call her sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, even at night. And she would not mind because she cared for sister. She has her children in school, so that there was a relationship with sister during her time. And she was there, and she was there to the very end. And the sisters would like to say thank you. I think Sister Evelyn and the other sisters will join me and say thank you to you for what they did. The sisters would like to thank the good hospice. You know. They were excellent people. They come, they did what they have to do with sister and so on. And they were always there at the back of our mind. But I like to say thank you to the community, the local community. You have done a fantastic job with sister. In her condition, many will send her to a nursing home because she depends totally and completely on you. With your schedules that you have, that you spend every night, 2 of you, from evening to midnight, and then the second shift comes, changing her clothes, washing her clothes, console her, pray with her, holding her hand, and tell her, you know, how much you love her, and all that you did that showed that you really are a community. A community that pray, a community that recreate together, a community that feel for each other and help each other, a community that we know the faults of one another, but we keep them in the house. It's a community. You will never know what's going on in that convent. I used to say to Sister Evelyn, how in the world 11 women live together? That convent has to be heaven. And you will never, from her lips or other lips, oh no, you can beat them to death. They will never come away. And knowing me, being nosy, I investigate. Sisters, on behalf of the parish, I would like to say thank you, because you have set a great example not only to me, but to the community for over 55 years. And that is what we are celebrating today. I see you saying your farewell to sister. Those tears were not tears of sadness, but of joy, of spending her time with you. Sister was not somebody to be led by the nose, you know. If she wants to say something, you know it, she will say it to you. She will praise you today, and tomorrow, if you cross her, she will tell you. But again, we are here to say thank you to God for giving us the occasion that we share with sister these days, these years. And even when I was here the first time, and this is something that the sisters are going to be embarrassed, but it's the truth. When I was here the first time, there was some clash between the two towns. And unfortunately, there's something involvement that was involved from the other side. And I said to sister, she was the coordinator at the time of the order. She was the coordinator and one superior of the convent. I said, can you tell this one and this one to stop, because I am hearing these things. And she said, Father, this is not your problem. It is our problem too. She said, I pray for you. I do my best to do the best I can. And somewhat things calm down. That's Patricia for you. And that is what we need to do, dear people. We need to follow her example. I feel so blessed that I have encountered these women. They're all different, don't tell me. All different. You have somebody, God forbid you mention Queen Elizabeth, because she will kill you. The one from Donegal, she will kill you. And the more I see her, the more I salute her. It's Hail Holy Queen. There are some who, different. Everyone is different from each other. You have the superior always laughing, but you don't hear one word. So tight her lips. All different. Cecilia, always laughing, playing with the dogs, and crying around. You have Sister Rita, help us at the rectory, God love her, and she is very astute too. You say something, she begins laughing, the first one. You have Sister Angela, a beautiful woman. I know her from Collingwood. You have Sister Bridget, I call her Saint Bridget. She's always working, always working. When you go to the convent, I said, Sister, you're always working. Now I do some share, I do some share. You have Sister Catherine, retired from principal. Are you happy that you're temple? Oh, she's happy like a large, she said. Then you have Sister Mary. Oh, Sister Mary, I feel for Sister Mary, because where you see one, you see the shadow. Where you see Patricia, you see Mary. And very dependent on Patricia, because she will carry her bag, her papers, everything. She would say, Mary, did you have the paper? Did you brought this paper? Everything. So she is going to be sad too, because they were close to each other. I forgot somebody else. Sister Philomena, she was always doing for other people, but she was in the house too, but she was always there. Why forgot? There's somebody there. Who is there next to you? Father, who is next to you there? Oh, the best. We leave it for the last. Sister Marian. Do you know that you have two candidates for the priesthood in this society, this order here? She do a lot, Marian do a lot. She gives to CD, she reads at Mass, she gives communion, they love communion. Do you know this morning, I want to talk to the superior. You know what the superior was doing, giving communion? While I'm supposed to be giving communion to the sick. And she's really giving communion. That is why they are loved. Because they are very part, I call them the heart of the community, the heart of the parish. And so as we conclude today, I say to the family, thank you for giving us one of your own. One of the best, I think. That we share life with her, and she loves us, and we love her in return. I'm sad for you that you have lost somebody that you can talk to. But she is talking to you in your hearts. You have those memories that you never let go. And she's next to God. I told her sister, when you are there, will you? She said, you are the first one on the list to pray for. I said, is that a threat or a problem? She said, what do you mean? Because if you go on defense, no. You hang in there, that's her word is saying to you. Things are changing. Things are coming around. Yes, they are changing. I know because many people tell me stuff. And I know that she talks to people. So, to the community, to the entire parish of St. Rita, we are going to miss her. We are going to miss her laugh, her social. She always was social with us. You invite her for dinner, she is the head, she is the center of the table. When she talks, no. We are going to miss her bubbling, and we will miss her spirit that she has, and the charisma that she has. But we know that we gain somebody special in heaven. I'm not saying that she is a saint because all of us have to go through the purification. But I think, she's not far away from it. And that is what we have to pray. We have to pray to her, that she will help us to overcome some of the trouble that we go through. May God give eternal rest to our sister. May she rest in peace. And may the souls of the faithful departed, for the mercy of God, rest in peace.